Hello and welcome everyone to the Cross Cultural Couples Podcast. My name is Erica El Hilali.
And I am Hamada El Hilali.
And we have been married for 13 years. I'm American and Hamada is from Morocco. And we are going to do a special episode today about Hamada's journey coming from Morocco to the United States. And we're doing this in honor of 4th of July and our Independence Day. And for those of you who don't know, this is a holiday that celebrates and commemorates really the Declaration of Independence, which was from July 4th, 1776. And it is when the colonies officially declared that they were breaking away from Great Britain and becoming their own independent nation. And if you've never read the Declaration of Independence, I highly recommend it. It's actually very beautiful. I'll read little parts of it throughout towards the end of the podcast, just because it's such a beautiful, well-written document in history. So this holiday is very special for Americans. We all get to be together, have fireworks. A lot of people have barbecues. We're currently living in Huntington Beach. We'll enjoy the summertime festivities at the beach. And we'll really just enjoy being together and celebrating our freedom. So the first thing I want to ask Hamada, when you came to America, what were your impressions of America? Because I feel like it's we have like Hollywood and we have so many, from politics to entertainment, we kind of have our little fingers in a lot of parts of the world. So I would like to know what your perception of America was before you came here.
Well, like everyone says, America is the land of opportunities, right? So this is the first thing I knew about America, that there's always an opportunity for you to grow and become what you want to be. In college, not in college, but like in high school and middle school, we actually study about the economy of the world. And one of the economies that we studied was the American economy. And we learned about agriculture, about production of tools and raw materials and everything that's related to the economy. And everyone knows how strong the American economy is. So whenever you think about America, you think about opportunity, a house and a car and, a good job and taking care of yourself and your family. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, and Hamada, you came to America during a really interesting time. You came in 2008, so it was right at the beginning of the Great Recession in America. And you saw America probably not at its height of economic power. But what did you think when you came here and then you were faced with the Great Recession?
Well, I came in 2008 and everybody was talking about how the economy was bad and hard jobs and I was hoping that things would change to the better, which I knew it was going to change. It's just a matter of time. But that like the in the 2008 crisis, I mean, the whole world was in problems, not just America.
It's true.
So I know it was just like a little period that's going to pass by. But I wish it was no pandemic, no Great Recession or anything when I moved here.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even 40 and we've already seen a Great Recession, a pandemic. We've seen a lot. So, for all the millennials out there, they want to call us weak. They want to call us entitled, all kinds of things they want to label us as. And it's like, we really have not had an easy go of it. I graduated from college in 2008, and it was not fun finding a job in the Great Recession. And then, now we're starting to come into our stride, get on our feet, and then the pandemic kind of threw a wrench in things. So I feel like millennials have had a tough go of it, but hopefully all the bad things are behind us. We've, had our once in a lifetime recession twice now, and we've had our once in a lifetime pandemic hopefully once now, and then we're done and we don't have to deal with it anymore.
That's right. But yeah, when I came in, it was. I mean, I had the job at the gas station, and I always had a paycheck coming in, but I feel bad for people who did not have a job, and I wish it was not that way, but it was, and it was a good experience. I'm glad I experienced it, so I can see the both side of America, the good side, and when there's problem side.
Yeah, and the hustle side too, for
Yeah.
sure. Did you feel like when you came here, did you feel like the people were like welcoming of you, or did you feel like you had to fit in to be American?
No, people actually were nice. People are nice. Everywhere you go in the world, there's always that person who you never can win over. There's always
Yeah.
that person who he's always acting short to a lot of people, but like mostly like everybody was nice. Everybody was nice. Everybody just was curious where I'm from, and that's all.
Yeah, well, and I think that in America, because we're a land of immigrants, we're used to seeing people come in from different parts of the world. Just that's our whole history. So I don't know if it's better or worse than other countries, but I do feel like just the history of America has been immigrants. So I do think that maybe it's more normal as an American to see immigrants coming in, and
Yeah,
it's not unusual or anything like that. It's the typical like normal thing. And that probably does depend which part of America you're in. I was from the Twin Cities. My best friend growing up, her parents were from Eritrea. So, like, I was already used to having people around me who were not necessarily, um, you know, f- had been living in America for multiple generations. So I do think that it's good that like maybe we have that as part of our culture, that we're just more used to having people come from all over the world. So it's not really a big deal if we have immigrants coming in. I mean, it might be different now after Trump and the kind of anti-immigrant rhetoric he stirred up. But I think the vast majority of Americans, especially in the cities, are used to dealing with immigrants. They're familiar with it, and they're more open to it.
that's true. Yeah, I didn't feel it. Honestly, many people like maybe they have experienced different stuff, but for me, honestly, I haven't experienced anything that is different. I mean, if you're nice to people, they're nice to you. If you're not nice to them, I don't think they're gonna be nice to you. But mostly, if you're nice to people, they'll treat you nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then I think too, like being you didn't necessarily come by yourself. Like you were coming, and then we were in our relationship, and then we got married, and so it was like um, you had that like American touch. Like if you didn't understand something, you could ask me. Like I remember one time you like came home and you're like, "Wow, the economy's getting really bad. Somebody's selling their garage." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And you're like, you saw the sign that said garage sale." And I was like, Hamada, no, a garage sale doesn't mean they're selling their garage. It means they're selling all their stuff like in their garage. So
That's
there was
funny.
like little funny things like that would come up that were more just like misunderstandings that were like they were more funny than anything. But like it's good that you had somebody that you could ask those questions or like make
No, it
those
was
remarks,
good.
and they would tell you.
It was good, honestly. I haven't experienced anything bad or anybody was mean to me. It was just fine. If people are, like I said, people are the same or wherever you go. There's always that person that you're gonna encounter, and he's just that person.
Yeah, and definitely we're seeing too that in America in general, more people are in interracial and interethnic marriages. So, according to Pew Research, 17% of U.S. newlyweds in 2015 were married to somebody of a different race or ethnicity. And this is up from 3% in 1967. So, really, in like one or two generations, it's gone up quite a bit to now almost 1 in 5 marriages are interracial or interethnic marriages. So I think that that's something that's really good about America. But even across the world, we're seeing that increase. Like in Britain, for example, 1 in 10 people, according to the Telegraph, this was from 2014, 1 in 10 people are married to or living with somebody from outside their ethnic group. And then even in Germany, there was a 2009 study that said interracial marriages make up 12.9% of all marriages. So, and that's only increasing probably since 2009. So we're starting to see the numbers go up. So it's not necessarily as unusual if you're married to somebody from a different ethnic background, a different racial background, a different culture in general. So I don't know if it was really, it wasn't necessarily unusual that we were marrying like outside of our race for either of us. I do think the religion probably made a bigger difference, just especially because our religions are so like very different between Catholicism and Islam as far as what our families came from. And they did, there's a growing number of interfaith marriages as well. So 1/3 of married Americans have a spouse with a different religious affiliation than them. So that definitely is also only increasing. So if you're in a cross cultural marriage, the numbers are only growing, and so don't feel like that's a unusual thing anymore. Were there things when you moved to America that you were surprised by, or even that you wish you would have known before you came?
That's the weather, that's for sure. The weather is a huge thing because it was really cold.
Yeah, and we, just so you guys know, so we now live in Southern California, which is much closer to Morocco's climate. But when he first moved here, and for over 10 years, we lived in Minnesota, and Minnesota has like weather on a whole other extreme than most of America. It's just south of Canada, and it's very, very cold in the winters. Like it can get below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I guess that's like what, like minus 20 Celsius. I don't know. I'm not good at Celsius. I'm an American. But it can get very cold in the winter months. And the winter also lasts very long. It lasts from about like October sometimes till like April or May, depending on the year. Like our son Sammy was born in April, and there was a blizzard like the week after he was born. So it's a very extreme climate. The summers are then hot and humid. I was just in Minnesota last week visiting my family and friends there, and it was extremely humid for me after being in Southern California. So the weather I can totally see was probably, I think it would be extreme for anybody. Like if you're from Southern California, moving to Minnesota, it would be extreme. So yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked how the greens and like all the green trees and all the highways and yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was different for sure. I like the customer service. When you go somewhere, people on you. Hey, but we have this, we have that. In Morocco, we don't have that, so it's just buy
Yeah.
it or don't buy it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's definitely a culture of customer service here. And I think that's just because business is really, and I've said this in other episodes, the king of America is really business. Like, business is our king. We don't have a king. And so I think that's where customer service is such a huge part of your experience here, because they want you to buy, they want you to consume, they want you to stimulate the economy. So, yeah, it's a big part of our culture here, too. Did you feel like there were times where you felt like culture shock, or you felt like you were just really having a hard time and you wanted to go back home?
Honestly, no. I didn't have a culture shock because I was open minded back in Morocco. I knew about
Yeah.
a lot of cultures. I always was a deep thinking about things. I was always that person who see the thing from different sides. For talking about family, yeah, I do miss my family because you grow up with your family, your friends,
Yeah.
and then you move, and then you don't get any of that. I miss that part. I never feel like I won't go move back because I already moved here, so I don't want to go back again. So I know I just have to need some time, and I'll eventually work through it. But yeah, no, it was no culture shock. It was just mostly missing family.
Yeah. Well, and you also, like, you spoke English when you came here. I think it would be a lot harder to come here if you didn't speak English, mainly because Americans are not good at learning languages. Like, we don't teach it until kids are already like I didn't take any foreign language class in middle school. So like right around like 12, 13 years old. And that at that point your brain has a harder time of learning language. So I do think that we are not great language learners.
Hmm.
So like we normally just will go and just expect everyone to speak English, and good or bad, that's not, I don't think it's necessarily good. I wish we were better at languages. But I think if you're coming here and you don't have a good grasp of English, it can be really hard for you.
Yeah.
I know, like, for me, as I get better at Arabic, I have a better time when I go to Morocco. Like, it's just easier. I don't feel like I'm 100% reliant on you. There's still a lot of times where I'm like, wait, what is that word? What did that mean? But at least the general basics I can get out and communicate. Like, even with your mom and dad, I can communicate with them. I can, talk to them, say, like, oh, I need this or whatever. Like, we can figure it out. Um, so I could see where language would be a really hard barrier to overcome, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you feel like America was, like you had said this in the beginning, that America is this land of opportunity? Do you still feel that way about America, having been through the Great Recession and then now a pandemic?
I think so. I think there's
Yeah.
always gonna be. I mean, you can't live like the whole life without any issues or economical problems or. I mean, yeah, every country is gonna go through some issues, but I think America will bounce back stronger than ever. I think. Yeah, because they have like check and balances, and they have a lot of like rules and the jobs and rules in business and the rules in taxes. So I think because they support the law, and that helps the economy get back in track quicker than other countries.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point about the legal system in America. There's still a lot of injustice and a lot of inequalities. Like, people who have access to better lawyers tend to get better justice results. But there at least is the law, and like if you file a lawsuit against somebody if they've wronged you, like you have some legal recourse against people if they're doing something that's harming you in some way, where not every country has that available to them. So yeah, that's a good point. Did you find when you moved here, were there things you wish you would have prepared more for, or things that would have helped you transition from one culture to another?
Yeah, mostly like the education system. If I knew like okay, hey, if you become a doctor or if you become this and that, you probably have a better option of getting like a better job. Or like if you do if you do things that you're good at, and knowing the jobs that are they're high paying job, for example, I would probably focus on that more. Or than just like do something that's not gonna that you don't need the degree, like people don't need the degree to do it.
Yeah.
Or so that, and also like having like a more like support from family, probably here, like if my family was here, probably I would probably merge quicker into the culture because I have that family of my support, I have your support, so it kind of be like
Yeah.
quicker. But for me, I wish I have known the field that are really good to get you jobs. So
Mm.
if you want to do your research and find out what fields are really good to get good paying jobs, that would be helpful when you move to America because that would help you focus on that and achieve your goals.
Yeah, and that does change too. Like, even if you would have looked at it 10 years ago to
Well,
now,
yeah, for
there's,
sure.
with all the technology changes that have happened, there's anything in the tech field is going to do well probably anywhere in the world, just because of how reliant businesses are on technology. But there's also a big shortage here of tech workers, a huge shortage of medical workers who are trained. So yeah, those are fields that are always high in demand.
Yeah,
And then if you're also, to kind of put another layer to it, if you're trying to immigrate to America and you don't have immigration status through your spouse. So, like, if you can't get a visa through your spouse or you can't get it through a family member, the only other really way for you to get it is through a job. And a lot of, if you're in the tech industry or you're in the medical industry, they will be more willing normally to sponsor you, for your visa, but not always. So it's kind of a gamble even if you do that. So it can be kind of tricky too, even figuring out your immigration status in America and
yeah.
what kind of job would help you or not. So yeah, it can get really tricky. But yeah, to your point, having a marketable job skill is going to help you in any country you go to. So definitely research that if you can, and get yourself a skill set that then you'll be able to provide for your family with either way.
It's true.
Did you feel like when you came here there were things that you wish, you would have like done differently when you first came here, or lessons you learned from those early days when you first came here?
Well, as you know, I used to play soccer in Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wish I knew more like professional soccer teams that are in Minnesota and try to like sign up for a team. Even though I did try one of the Minnesota teams, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it didn't work out because they don't have a lot of teams, and I wish I have came in and moved like south or like to LA or like to places that do have soccer teams so I can join because my level of soccer was high, so I can easily play in the team. And why not play the national team for the United States?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like, whatever your unique skill sets are, you can bring that to your to the new country that you have for sure. Do you think that there were things that you were maybe wishing that were different in America or would have been easier for you here?
No, easy was always easy. I always believe in easy as hard work and focusing and do the right thing. I think easy. I don't think anything was hard. I think everything was easy. Even in Morocco, everything is easy. I think you just like what I said, like playing soccer, for example. That was just like I don't feel bad for myself. It's just one thing I should have known before I came in that would help me make the decision easier.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything was hard. Everything was easy. I don't think anything was hard.
Yeah. Did you think that it put extra pressure on our relationship when you moved here, or do you think it was easier when you moved here?
I think it was easier because you have a
Yeah.
lot of bills. You don't have a lot of, you don't have a kid. You don't have,
Well, I'm not saying like about the time in life we were, because like when you came here, we didn't have a son. We were younger, so like those days are just in general tend to be less stressful, just financially. But like, do you think on just our relationship in general, like, do you think it would have been easier if I moved to Morocco on you, or when you moved here? Do you think it was easier?
I think it was easier when I moved here because I mean
Yeah.
Morocco is a good country, but still you need job, you need this, and
Yeah.
you were finishing school too.
Yeah.
So no, I think it was easier. It wasn't hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I
always
think
try.
it was easier when we were in the same place too, because for those of you who don't know, like the first summer we were together was in Morocco and I was studying there. And then I actually went back in that January and like so we would visit like throughout our engagement. We were together. He came and actually visited me in Jordan when I also lived in Jordan and studied abroad in Amman, Jordan. And so he actually came and visited me for a month there. So we had seen each other in these like number of different visits, him visiting me or me visiting him in Morocco. I had spent another summer in Morocco as well before we got married. So we had a lot of time together in person in Morocco. But then I would have to go back to school and then we were apart virtually. So we were communicating virtually, talking online, texting, video chatting, all that kind of stuff. And it was, I think it was good for our relationship, and we had to talk about everything and maybe not be distracted by some of the activities of dating. Like, if you go to a movie with somebody, that's fun, but you don't really get to have a conversation and get to know them. So the online dating part of it, being virtually talking to each other, the distance part was fine, but I think once we were together, it was nice for us just to be together. We knew we were going to be together. We could start figuring out, okay, how do we build a life together? And we both were so young that we could build it kind of from the ground floor. So we weren't necessarily merging lives together. We were building a life together, which I thought was kind of nice.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about 4th of July in America?
I think it was cool. Like everybody comes together, and the fireworks, and people take chairs outside, take their kids. I think that's good because in Morocco we live close to each other, so our street is always like that. People are always in the
Yeah.
street, but here you don't see anybody in the street. But when I see people outside and they're enjoying their outdoors and watching the fireworks, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, I like it too. I know when you did your citizenship test, you had to learn about America
Mm-hmm.
and the revolution and everything.
Yeah.
What do you think, especially coming from a country with a king and a monarchy? What do you think about how America was started? How we basically
I think it's
broke
good.
away?
I think it's good, like the Civil War, and also the when you break away for you got independence from
Yeah,
the
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 Revolutionary War.
Revolutionary War, and all those figures like Susan B. Anthony
Yeah.
and Martin Luther King. So there were a lot of people that they did a lot of things to this country, and I thought it was interesting, to know all those. I mean, I knew who's the North of America and who's in the South of America and who's in the West and the East. I knew all that, but like thing like Susie B. Anthony didn't know that. Didn't know who wrote the Declaration of Independence,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I think it was interesting because people took their right and they.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool if in America, like regular citizens had to take the citizenship test
Well, it's hard.
because
Even in
it's
Morocco, nobody really knows
I know,
what's.
but it's such a cool thing to know the history of America. I mean, it's
Yeah,
such a unique country and how we were formed. And Americans always like to think we're exceptional, but I do think that our actual founding story is exceptional.
mm,
Before us, there weren't any other countries that were like, hey, we're going to break away and we're going to form our own democracy. We're in the new world now. We're going to have a new form of government, and this is what it's going to be. And I do think that especially the last year, we've talked about a lot of the problems in America, and they're very real problems, but it's still good to go back to the founding premise and promise of America is freedom, is equality, is, that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that's right in the
yeah.
Declaration of Independence.
It is nice to know the history. It's beautiful, but don't feel bad because like in Morocco too. I mean, they're not gonna know who wrote the Declaration. I don't know who wrote the Declaration of Independence to the French people.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we're proud of our countries, but it doesn't mean necessarily that we know about who did this, who did that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I've become more proud of America. Well, I've always been proud of America. I've always loved American history. And I think it's important that we recognize the dark parts and we recognize how we need to improve on those and make them better. But I do think that overall, America is still an exceptional country. It still holds that promise for immigrants to come here and really have an opportunity to have life, liberty, and pursue happiness.
That's right.
So I do think that the other thing I want to mention, I did some ancestry work and I found out my ancestor, Henrik Naus, he actually served in the Revolutionary War. He fought for George Washington, so he fought for not the loyalist side, but the ones who were fighting for independence. So to me, it's been really cool for me to see that I have an ancestor who put his money where his mouth was and he fought for American freedom and independence. So I really loved learning that, and I continue to love to learn about what American freedom is, what it means, and how each generation we have to fight to make America even more free, more just, more equal, and then continue to have more access to opportunities for everybody, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're born here. We all want to have that ability to pursue happiness here.
That's right.
So I'm gonna end our episode today reading some of the beginning parts of the Declaration of Independence. So this was read in July 4th, 1776. It was unanimous by all of the 13 original colonies of America. And it says, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the cause which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So I just think that if you have a chance, read the whole Declaration of Independence. It is a beautiful document, and I think that it's important for us to have fun, celebrate 4th of July, be with our families, especially this year after 2020 and the pandemic and everything, to go out and really enjoy it. But don't forget at the end of the day what 4th of July is really about. It's about celebrating our freedom and recommitting ourselves to the ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So with that, you guys all have a very safe and happy 4th of July to all my fellow Americans out there. And to everybody out there, I hope you all have all the life, liberty, and happiness that you can have in life. And I hope that you all will stay connected with us. Find us on Instagram at Cross Cultural Couples. We also have a website, crossculturalcouples.com. Please connect with us. We love hearing from you guys. We love hearing feedback and requests for future episodes. So stay in touch with us. We really appreciate all of you. And we hope you all have a very happy 4th of July.
Yeah, thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye.